We opened up supplementation businesses, and we had, a big online store and physical stores of supplements. Basically just turned it around and tripled its turnover and sold it and just sort of flipped that business. So like,
I wouldn't say it just naturally evolved over time. We didn't necessarily set out 10 to 15 years ago that this is what we would even be necessarily doing.
A big thing is that as a syndicator, we are regulated. Syndicators are regulated via whether it's Racing New South Wales, WA, Victoria, Queensland, whatever it may be. And we're regulated by ASIC. That's more Jen's domain. But people, not only do we have to supply financials every single year to the authorities, but it gives the owners peace of mind when they're investing. Their money goes straight into a trust account that we can't even access. So if you're investing with someone else, the money is accessible. With syndicators, it's a trust account that's arranged by that racing authority, and it's controlled by them, not us. So that your money's always safe. I highly recommend to look at registered syndicators for that reason, especially when you're looking at an expensive horse. And the thing I guess we have over some others, or I don't know if it's even have over others, but a reason that you can invest with us, I guess, Jen, you can mention that you're a registered lawyer and you worked in that as a lawyer for 13 years?
Yeah, so I guess my background is I'm a practicing solicitor. I still am. A large part of the regulation and the highly regulated documented space of what we do has a large legal component, which assists me a lot. In the event that I wasn't a lawyer or I didn't have a legal background, I think you would be leaning on the legal services of somebody else quite a lot. And I guess that's how this business sort of formed or married up in a way. Sean, as is touched on in numerous other podcasts, has a very extensive and detailed horse background. When we started to purchase racehorses, had friends and family become involved, we realised that the whole system of racehorse ownership had really moved into the syndication or share space. Gone are the days of people probably, or not so much, it still does happen, but gone are the days of people going out and buying their own horse and racing it on their own. Now, with simply the price point of yearling these days, people are more inclined to jump in and purchase a share with the syndicator or a trainer. To that end, we then sort of formed the business years ago now, but sort of leaning on the background I had and becoming an approved syndicator. So I sort of handle that side of things, handle the background work that's required, and Sean is on farm or at the sales or whatever's required, running the horse racing side of things. But as Sean said, it is a highly regulated space. People do have that security that if they're coming along to us, buying a horse share is a financial product. That's what it is. We're giving people that disclosure around what it entails. They're investing their money. That investment is protected. Obviously, you're not promising anything about that investment because you simply can't, and that's what we touched on before. But you're giving them all of the information that's required so they can make an informed decision before they jump in and purchase a share. And that's probably the beauty of what racehorse syndication is. And I think it's really opened up a lot in the last probably 10 to 15 years, and that's the way ownership has moved, at least in Australia.
It will be going.
And will be continue to go that way. Yeah. Even in the time since we started, the price point of a yearling, I would say it's increased exponentially, and it will just continue to do so.
The average has probably increased by 20%.
Yes, yeah.
But that's also natural inflation and
of course,
etc. etc.
Yeah.
I think the whole that's one aspect, and such a large aspect is not only do we have that in-house, registered lawyer and that background to help you guys as the owners for that guarantee of safety and security, but also the business sense of the background that a lot of people don't know. But I was born into a family that was always self-employed and ran businesses. So I've never really essentially, even though I was employed by my family, it's always been our business. So my grandfather had service stations everywhere. And then from there, I grew up and I obviously had a football background and had to go away and do that for a little bit. But I was still always going to Merriwar, which it was our horse stud on the other side. Every chance that I could get, I went there weekly, even though I was still living in Sydney full time with football. I'd still go there every week and check up on things, and still involved in the businesses and the service stations. And then from there, we opened up supplementation businesses, and we had, a big online store and physical stores of supplements. We sold that. And so I actually, to Jen's discuss, I actually had a bar, or we had a bar and a sort of bar slash nightclub for 2 years. And that was it was a cool experience. It was a business partner and we bought it, and we basically just turned it around and tripled its turnover, and sold it, and just sort of flipped that business. So like, there's plenty of experience in regards to the whole business side of things as well. Yes, I've got great horse experience, or years of experience, but it's also the business knowledge on the other side, and with Jen's legal background as well, I think that helps. So the whole running the business is quite easy to us. Well, I feel it's easy for me.
Wouldn't say it just naturally evolved over time. We didn't necessarily set out 10 to 15 years ago that this is what we would even be necessarily showing. It just naturally evolved that way.
Whether it's selling a fat burner or pre-workout or a Skittle vodka on a Friday night at the bar that we used to have at R&B Fridays, the systems are the system, and an athlete's still the same, right? So whether it's a human or a horse, the business system and the structure is this. The athlete needs this. Everything you do is a system, and if you've got systems in place, and they work, don't change it, and then you grow with time. And like now, AI is a big thing, so now you've got to grow with AI, and that's just another example. Like, you've got to go with the times, but I think we cover so many avenues, don't we?
Yeah, and I think to what you're saying, we've both had such a extensive experience in other parts of life that this to us is another business to run. It looks completely different. Some of the other things you may have done in previous years, but
It's just changed
and the
to the point
processes
that
are the
this
same.
is I don't think we could, or I know I couldn't. There's no way we could juggle,
No.
apart from like we've got the 2 kids, and obviously the farm and staff, etc. Like, we could not juggle another business on the side.
No, initially we did, like anything. You're growing this business, and we had another business, but as it became bigger and it grew and it sort of really absorbed both of all of our time, that's the way that things have moved. And I think for the better. I wouldn't want to be doing anything else than what I'm doing now. I did a long time in law firms, and it all helps you though. I think it's all beneficial to what you're doing today, but we both love what we do. And yeah, it's just getting people involved in that and having the same experience, whatever your share percentage looks like. Being involved in racehorses, everyone gets the same experience, and it's a great world to be in. I think the market in general suggests that if you look at the statistics of who owns a share in a racehorse in Australia, it's quite high. People love being a part of it.
Yep. Yeah, I agree, but it's not. It's also not for the faint-hearted. This isn't easy. It's not easy at all. It is 24/7. It is, something goes wrong on a Saturday, 6 a.m. or 11 p.m. or 2 a.m., I'm at the farm. They're the things you don't see. Like, we all see the horses that have patterns, on their hinds, and they look shiny, and their feet are polished on a Saturday or Tuesday at Gold, wherever it is. And that's what we do it for. That's the exciting part. But behind the scenes, it is 24/7. And apart from Jen, working probably 14-hour days behind a computer, we're still managing, 2 kids and personal life as well. And same with our trainers. Our trainers may have either 40 in work or, 180 in work. So going from, say, a Nathan Doyle or a Matt Dale, who might have 40 to 45, or a David Pfeiffer might have 38 to 42, and to a Gay and Adrian might have 180. that are active. Imagine looking after 180 individuals that are basically your children, but you can't speak to them, they can't speak to you, and you're trying to control the uncontrollable, and a horse does silly things, and then you've got to go home to your kids and still manage them as well. It's And then on that flip side, we might have 50 to 60 owners in each horse that we have, and you've got 60 horses. So,
And it's
dude, those
yeah, it's the
multiple.
expectations as well, like I said earlier, that people might have convinced themselves things should go a certain way, or that, you know, you might have a really exciting lead up race and everyone is so pumped to go there, and then things will go awry. So you're not only trying to manage what may have happened with the horse, but it's the expectations of those 50 people in that horse. And it's just the everyday. Like when we first started, you have to back yourself a lot to the fact that people are going to buy into what we are selling or what our experience is or what we're buying. Like that was a really big thing to do many years ago, I would say.
Huge.
And
Yeah.
the fact you look back now and you think, wow, we actually did that. You did back yourself. You were going out there and buying horses and hoping that people were going to like the product or buying and the experience we were selling them. That was actually a really big thing back then, and it still is. It's a very saturated
For any
market.
syndicator
It's
that's starting,
yeah.
it's one thing I'll say, if you're thinking of doing it, or if you are starting, to strap yourself in, because you won't be sleeping and you'll be stressed. You'll be
Yeah.
get one of these Whoop watches. I recommend one of them. So I don't know if they can sponsor me, but my thing rattles all day with stress. So it vibrates because it's always high. And on my app, it's scary to look at each night. But all jokes aside, that's why I wear this watch. Like, it is a highly stressful environment. What person as a trainer, and going back to our trainers, that's why it's so crucial that we manage those relationships accordingly. What person wants to get up at 3 a.m. and look after 100 individuals that you can't control, and go to the races all day, probably travel 4 hours in a car, go to bed at 8:30, 9 o'clock, and do it all again at 3 a.m. the next day? It's ridiculous. Well, who wants to do that? But it's because we love it. It's a lifestyle. It's not a job. If you got paid by the hour, you may as well just quit now, because you'll be on $3 an hour. It's not about the money. It's the lifestyle. It's the freedom. It's the wins. You'll lose 19 races out of 20. You can't win. You cannot win every race. And even when you do win a good race, you might find out that the horse needs 6 months off, and it's like, when are we going to win here? Like, it's tough, and it's completely stressful, but the wins and the rewards outweigh all of that.
Yeah, for sure. And I think there were many times like it would be like remiss of you if you didn't say, these are the hard times we had. This is how tough it was. And Sean just kept saying to me, we need a few really good ones and it will be worthwhile. And luckily it has turned out that way. But for us to get to that point of finding those really good horses, and it's not even just about the good horses, it's having the success of a horse that's come back from an injury, or putting all of that work into a horse that makes it worthwhile. They don't always necessarily have to win major money or, you know, be at an elite level. It's the satisfaction you get on so many different levels. But
there's always a lag.
Of course.
What was tough is like when Jen sort of was only just come into my life, that like when we had the big farm at Merriwar, we had the good horses, we had the volume, we had, like, everything was there. And when my grandfather passed, and it was just, I said, oh no, I need to get out of this. Like, this is probably a good time for me to have a break. And so that was a sacrifice too, because when you start it all again, you might buy yearlings, but you're not seeing that for 3 years.
Yeah.
And then the next year, those yearlings, you're not seeing. So your business model's at a 3-year lag. These yearlings that we bought this year, 1 or 2 may race before Christmas this year, but realistically, they're next year or the year after.
And there's so much that needs to go right. I think that's something I only just understand now, to be perfectly honest. To get a horse like Sheiky that's had everything somewhat go to plan and for her to get to a golden slipper, like what were the nominations for 2,400?
2,200
And you've
horses were nommed for the slipper.
You've got a minute number of that are eligible
what makes
to
the field,
race.
14 or 6, whatever the field is. Like,
Yeah.
so if you're a horse, and you still might have disappointed owners, but if you do the stats there, you've got 7,000 yearlings, whether it's sold through sales or privately. You might have 7,000 yearlings sold. First of all, you're one of those 14 or 16 that are in the biggest 2-year-old race. And then second of all, the 2,400 of those 7,000 yearlings that are noms, like, put things into perspective. Whether you get beat 10 lengths last, it's still a very successful outcome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that's something that I've only just realized after seeing a large enough crop of horses to see how much has to just go your way for you to just be there on that day is huge. Like, the statistics are well and truly against you.
So all that positivity. That's the end of the episode. I hope you enjoy some of the insights. It's starting to piss down rain here, so we can hardly hear each other. But we will see you on the next episode.